Hello again. So, I'm sorry for the last video getting cut off, but you didn't miss anything because the story that I was about to tell will be covered in this one. I think Fellini actually deserves an entire video of its own because this is where the Church of Below story sort of dovetails with Comedie de Caen, and when I started working in France in a very strange way. Also, just by I took a look at the original uploads just to see the actual timeline here. So Fascist Sandwich I uploaded April 12th, 2008. And so then a few months pass and I upload William Shakespeare July 22nd, 2008. And then a few more months pass. Now, Fellini, this was filmed in September 2008. But it wasn't posted until March 2009, like half a year later. Now, why did that happen? Well, should I talk about it first, or maybe I should just play the fucking video first? But I'm just setting this up. This was posted a whole 6 months after it was shot. It's the only time I've ever done that, especially with a Church of Blow video. So here we go. Fellini. And this one has a great great score.
Colette? Oh, not bad. Wait, profile? Yeah, you'll do. Could've dressed for the occasion, though.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Bernard.
Bernard Smith. Smith with an I. You always say that. I know who you are. So.
Oh, yeah, I suppose you do. So you're a real fan.
Is it like a Doctor Who thing? You know, Christopher Eccleston says I'm fantastic, and David Tennant says I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I love your videos. They're amazing.
Thank you.
You're so funny.
Funny.
Well, not so much some of the stuff you're doing now. That's pretty lame. But the earlier stuff was pretty funny. I've been watching from the beginning since you stopped being Cornelius. Mostly with the sound down, but I still watch.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You remind me a bit of David Tennant, actually.
Really?
Sometimes I watch him with the sound down, too.
So, shall we get on with this? We got about 15 minutes to get to the restaurant.
This has been such a fun night. I don't want this to end yet. What are you going to do next?
Fun. Really? So you don't want to leave? I mean, you don't want to leave on your own. You want to leave with me.
What are we going to do now?
We could always...
Yeah, I hate those iMovie fades.
It's just a quick thing.
We're so good at here hanging on.
I get to practice my wrist action a lot.
This is great, Cornelia.
Bernard.
Whatever, but this isn't really what I had in mind.
Oh, right. My dates don't usually last this long. You want to do something else? Well, we could go bowling. Or to the theater. There's a Fellini season over at the Bridal in Cambridge.
No.
No?
No. Do you still have the cassock?
Cassock. Cornelius Blow's cassock. Well, it really wasn't a cassock, and I sold it on eBay. Yes, I still have the cassock.
And can you still do the southern accent?
Welcome to my church.
And do you maybe have a big blue police box you could take a girl back to?
Not since I was 11.
Well, then your apartment will have to do.
Yeah. On it.
So, had any luck thinking up a new character? One that's as hot as a southern preacher?
Well, I got tons of ideas. Have you seen that Michael Buckley of What the Buck?
Yeah, I've seen him. He's cute.
Barking, wrong, tree. Fill in the gaps. Anyway, I auditioned for that role. Could have been me up there with a billion subscribers, and I whip it out whenever I can. I don't know what that means, except I do know what that means.
Oh, here's where the wind gets bad.
I think I was too authentic.
Too authentically gay?
Too authentically bitchy. Anyway, I thought about doing the character in any case, just go in direct competition with the guy. It was my idea, after all.
Well, let's see it.
Excuse me?
You're Michael Buckley. Other things to follow soon.
Hey everyone, this week I've been watching reality television so you don't have to, and oh my god, what a bunch of fun. Wouldn't you like to round them all up and shoot them all in the head? Well, Bernard Crystal Ball Reader sees a feature of alcoholism, prostitution, and a wrist-slashing episode age 35 in a rundown brothel off the Las Vegas Strip, a CSI episode just waiting to happen, and it'll so serve the bitch right, laugh out loud. So what do you think? Pretty funny, huh?
I didn't realize it was so late. My dog will be wondering where I am.
Oh, I hate dogs, don't you? They're such total cunts, but my apartment's just over there. If you come all this way, you gotta see if it's bigger on the inside. I was so close. It's one of the rules of the Church of Blow that if you're this close to a person's house, you have to.
Oh, weird. There's some weird ADR. Yeah, I remember the sound was so bad. Yeah, sound, nobody. So I remember, like, after shooting that, thinking to myself, okay, what if we just ADR the whole fucking thing? Because of course it's the video is called Fellini, you know, and every Italian film, so you know, at that time was dubbed. So it's like, so if it's all badly dubbed, then that'll be fine, right? We can get away with that. The sound will be, because it's more important that you hear what we're saying, even if you know it's obviously dubbed. So after, you know, we had, by the way, the experience of shooting that was great fun. My friend Matt Bourgeois, who I went to film school with, shot it. And it was just so easy because he took care of everything. Didn't tell him where to go. Like, all of his instincts were correct in every shot, and just it was all so it looks beautiful. Celeste was great. She was such a natural. So yeah, we just had a great time. It was really easy to do. It was really easy up until I did the Michael Buckley thing, and I just kind of lost my shit, because anytime I have to do something that's kind of complicated, and I'm not by myself, like I didn't have it memorized well enough, and I was really kind of beating myself up to get it right, and it was really frustrating. That's why in the end, we just kind of cut it. I think it's better the way it's cut, because it makes it seem like I just do it for fucking ever. Because it was supposed to all just kind of come out in one big chunk. But after all that, yeah, like, I was so embarrassed by the sound, because I thought this is gonna look great, and has the great score, and so this could be something really special. I think it turned, like, seeing that again, it's like, oh, I really like that one. But I just thought, like, the sound would just make it complete. It's always good sound is always the most difficult thing, and it's always sound is the thing that always has to be perfect. I remember hearing this in film school when my wife was studied animation. This was reinforced. This was, mind you, animation school. They said this, where you go there to learn visual technique, but they also have to tell you sound is actually more important than the visuals, because the visual in this sense, even though it's a visual medium, you have to communicate visually, you have to be skillful visually, obviously. But the thing is, in a film, people accept things like lens flare. You could have flaws in the visuals. It could be grainy. It could be any number of things. People will not accept any wind on the microphone, any pops or hisses, anything that you can. Sound has to be perfect. And of course, in these, it never is, and none of my stuff. The sound is always horrible in almost everything. I aim for a certain quality. I never reach it, because the sound should be better than the visuals. It's like I see a lot of independent films where the visuals are amazing and then the sound is like and it takes you out. It takes you like it makes it feel like it's not on the level that they're aiming, because now cameras are so great that you can make things that look like you have so much money even if you have nothing. But anyway, that's my rant about sound. Sound has to be... There are imperfections you will accept in visuals that people will not. And it's totally subconscious. It's not like people consciously do this. It's just there are all kinds of visual things that you will accept. Anyway, so I wanted the sound to be good. And so Celeste and I, we went over the entire thing. Of course, I can't, I don't have a studio. It's not like we could watch the dailies and do a proper ADR session. So we just recorded the dialogue over and over again, and which is like, it was just a mess to go through. So I had all this footage that I had to go through. So it was going to be another monumental editing thing. And around this time, my laptop was dying. My first laptop ever, my iBook. The screen was going dark, and at this time, I didn't even have any kind of external monitor. I didn't have an LCD television yet, so I didn't have any options of anything to connect it to. So it's like my screen was just kind of fading, and if I shined a flashlight at my screen, I could actually see things. But if I didn't, it was going dark. And again, I was piss broke. And so it's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do now. And also, around this same time, in fact, very soon after we shot this, I received a message on the Church of Blow channel addressed to Bernard Smith. And this is one of those things where, all the time, on a YouTube account, you'll get random messages that seem like bullshit, and you can usually tell. It's usually they address the channel name, and it's automatic or it's spam or something. But they actually address the character Bernard Smith, and this is before Google, kind of made it so that the channel name was the same as the person, because now the channel is actually called Bernard Smith. But this is different. Someone actually addressed a message to Bernard Smith, and it was from Comedie de Caen, this theater in France. And it was sent by Jean Lambert Wild's assistant, Aurelia, just asking if I would be interested in some kind of collaboration. I remember it was very vague at the time, and I was like, it just blew my mind. What, really? France? Is this serious? And I remember, it's like I said, Ishmael, because Ishmael obviously could access the same account. So it's like, what do you think? And it's like, yeah, it looks legit to me. I don't know. And and at the time, if you Googled Jean Lambert Wild, not a lot came up. And now he has a Wikipedia page. He's all over the place. There's a lot you can read up on him now. But at the time, there was very little. I couldn't get a lot of information about him or the theater. So we set up, I don't know if it was a Skype call or a phone call, but we talked. And again, there wasn't a lot of information. It was more, he asked me if I wanted to come to France. It was more like, okay, just come to France and then we'll talk. I was like, okay. All right. If you're willing to fly me to France, that'd be amazing. Yeah, I'll go. I'll go anywhere. I don't care if you want to take my kidneys. I don't give a shit. There's just one problem. I don't have a passport. And, this had come up once before. I remember when Jazz Dispute had its moment, had its mini viral moment. There was a guy who ran a jazz festival in Guadalajara, and he wanted me to go to this jazz festival and perform Jazz Dispute live. Well, the only problem is he wanted me to develop an entire show because 3.5 minutes wasn't enough to justify flying me there. But the same problem came up where it's like I didn't have a passport and I wasn't really. And a passport is $100, and I was piss broke at that time. I mean, that was a big deal. And it just hadn't it always the passport thing always kind of fell to the back of my mind. I always forgot about it. But this time, the difference with this is that I didn't have a passport, but they were willing to wait for me to get a passport. Like, this was so much like, okay, we'll wait for you, get your passport, and when you have it, get back in touch with us. It's like, perfect! And so, the combination of my laptop dying and then just suddenly out of the blue, this thing comes out of nowhere. And I was like, okay, I don't know what this is going to be, but this is intriguing. Kind of put everything else to the side. But and so it took a few months for me to get my passport. I had to borrow the $100 from my dad. I don't think I ever paid him back. I think I paid him back in various ways when I started making more money with the theater. But also in the meantime, you know, when Lorelei, when she found out that it's like I wasn't making videos because I didn't have anything to make them with, or I couldn't use my laptop was useless now, and she's like, well, this won't do. And then she gave me money to get a fucking laptop. And so the second laptop that I owned, it was a MacBook, not a Pro, but it was like the next level. It was sort of the in between iBook. It was a MacBook, just not a MacBook Pro. But a big step up from my last one, huge step. And this is what launched me into the next phase, where I was making the stuff for the French videos. And also, I spent a little extra and got Final Cut Pro. I finally had Final Cut Pro and I didn't have to use iMovie anymore. But it had been so long since I used Final Cut that I had to relearn how to do it because I used it in film school. Used Final Cut Pro and Avid, but I had to relearn it, and so it took a while. So it's like, I was thinking, well, I can cut my teeth working, doing the Fellini thing, but it's like when I sat on Fellini for so long. When I finally got to it, I'm like, okay, I'll dub some of the scenes, but I don't want to dub every fucking scene. I'll just let the bad audio in there. Then I said, okay, well, I'll leave the bad audio in, but we'll have subtitles, but the subtitles will be in Italian and no one can understand them. So like, but then, but at least I can say, well, at least there's subtitles, even if you can't read them. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. But, there was someone on Facebook who said, yeah, I'll translate them into Italian. But the only problem is I gave him the script. When I gave him, he just adapted it from the script. So any changes that were made are different. And also, none of the Michael Buckley stuff matches up because he's doing what I was supposed to say instead of the way I cut it. I mean, it's totally my fault because I just didn't bother to make any of that match. So I didn't, I finally cut it very, very, I didn't finish Fellini until I was already working, until the contract was signed and I was actually working for Comedie de Caen, which again, 6 months after we shot the video. Now that's how long everything took. It was a very slow process because, I got my passport and then I took my first trip to France, I think in November 2008. And this is one of those things. I think I'm going to upload some of the footage that I took because I put some of it once on a video I did years and years ago, but I think it deserves its own little video because so when I went to France for the first time, and really my first international flight, my first time on an airplane ever, this was November 2008. And so Jean, very generously, he was flying me to France just to have a chat. I still didn't know what the fuck it was about. And he allowed me to bring someone with me. I don't know if he was expecting me to bring a girlfriend or wife or something, but I brought my best friend, Alexander, who I've talked about before, Lord Fauntleroy. Because he was living, where was, I think he was in Toronto. He's back in Toronto now, but he was living in Toronto at the time. I never got to see him. So it was like, hey, want to hang out in France? He's like, yeah, great. And I just assumed, because he's been everywhere in the world, I just assumed he'd been to France before, but like France is like the one place he'd never been. But it doesn't matter, because he's very adaptable anywhere he go. Like he didn't speak French before he went there, and like when I got there, he's like he's talking to everyone. So it was one of the most surreal, crazy, fucked up thing that's ever happened to me, where because I'm traveling internationally for the first time ever. I arrived there, and they sent a car to pick me up to drive me, for 2 hours from Paris to Caen, which is in base Normandy. And we get there, we drive up to the hotel, and the first thing I see is my friend Alexander stepping out. He goes, you've come all this way just for a stabbing! And he pretends to stab me in the street. And but it's like, to come all this way is like, I'm having my first experience being overseas, and just like, just all the little things that you experience the first time you're in a new place, where you're like, what the fuck kind of tree is this? Like, everything is different in such weird ways. Like, the traffic lights are so tiny, and I don't recognize anything. And after a while, so you're like, okay, yeah, you're just used to going somewhere new and everything being different. But I was getting all of this for the first. I'm jet lagged as fuck, and and then there's my best friend just waiting for me, and I still don't know why I'm there, and yeah, I might as well just keep telling this, Because Alex met with... This is the weird thing also, because I think my flight was delayed. So Alex got there before I did. I think he got there a whole day before I did. So they're expecting me... They want to meet with me to talk with things, but it's like they get my representative who shows up ahead of time. Like, he has to show up, meet everyone first, make sure everything's okay, and then I arrive. It was like, it must have been really weird for them too, because Alex is a wonderful guy. Like he makes friends fast. He's extremely social, way more social than me. So actually, it helped. I think it probably made it had me leave a better impression. I don't know how to phrase that. It left a good impression on them, I think, having Alex representing me. But it was just very strange that he met everyone before I did. And these people who became an important part of my life for the next 3 years, Alex kind of like, came in and was like, oh, all right, everything in order, good. So I got the tour of the theater, and then finally I met Jean, and it was in the lobby of Comedie de Caen, and he just sat me down, again, still jet lagged, I don't know what's going on, and he sits me down, and it's like, I felt like I was in a fucking Bond film, like, it felt like espionage, like, why have I been brought this way? And he sits me down, and he says, okay, so I was looking at your YouTube, and I see, you see, I find, I think he had already told me that the reason he wanted to bring me there is that we look alike, or at least he thought we looked similar enough that we could work. But he was very vague about it. He just thought that or at least our work was similar. The themes were similar. There was a lot of similarity going on in weird ways. He goes, so I'm on YouTube, and I see a video, and I think it is me. I think someone put me on YouTube, and this made me angry, and I said, who has put me on YouTube against my without my permission? And so then I click, and I see this crazy guy, and I say, who is this guy? And so yeah. That actually does sound like Jean. I know it sounds like I'm doing a horrible accent, but his accent. He comes from the island of La Réunion, so he doesn't have the classic French accent. His accent is somewhere. It's a very unique accent. So it's not. I'm not just doing a shitty accent. I'm gonna stick up for my Jean impression. But so yeah, he was watching YouTube and he saw a thumbnail of one of my videos. It was either YouTube is my life or the dating video, because those are the only videos I could monetize. So those were like showing up, in recommendations and stuff. And he thought it was him, like he thought it was his own face, and he clicked on it, and he said, "Oh, who is this?" And that was the whole reason he found me. And so then I thought, every theater director wants to find his double, and I have found you. I was like, what? Like now it really felt like a fucking spy movie. It's like, what, he's found his double. Okay, now what? Who do I have to kill? Like, what the fuck is this? and again, like, it's like, so tomorrow we bring you in. And so like Jean, if you've ever seen pictures of him, he always, I don't know if he still does, but he always dressed in the same outfit. He wore this white shirt and these pants that kind of looked, he looked like Tintin from the Belgian comics, like in real life. He looked like I don't know, from a different century, but he always wore that outfit. Not the same, like he would wash it and he had like alternate and, but so like the plan was I was going to come in the next day. They were going to put some makeup on me. They were going to shave my head and they were going to put me on an outfit identical to him. And I had to learn how to be him. Because it wasn't just looking like him, I had to actually behave like him. And again, I still don't really know what the fuck is going on. Like, what is this? Why do we, okay, never mind. Doesn't matter. So that's what happened. I came in the next day, they shaved my head. They put me in costume, we went on stage. This whole time I had to observe Jean. I had to like learn how to be this person who I just met, and then he put me on stage, and he said, "Now do something, do some mime." It's like, all right. So this is when I took some of the mime that I'd studied from Tony Montanaro, some of the illusions that I'd studied, and just created a narrative on the spot. And I think I don't know. He probably hadn't seen somebody try that, where it's like, you just audition. It's like, come up with, invent your own audition. It's like, all right, and I just did some story about a boy in a balloon and meeting a giant. I think those were the elements that I was using. I did a bit where it's like I blow up a balloon and it lifts me up, and I meet a giant, that kind of thing. And he loved it. And just, days later, he was talking about just signing me up for a contract. And it's like, great. I still didn't, I was like, I don't know how this works. How the fuck? Okay. Yeah. All right. But if you want to hire me, like, I don't know what I'm doing for you. I don't know what this job is, but if there's a contract and I get paid for it, and how does this, and, but that's really how it happened. It was really fucking crazy. But it took a while. It's like, everything had to be ironed out and official. There had to be a contract, and I had to wait. It's like I wasn't gonna quit my day job until the contract was signed, and so it didn't officially happen until March of 2009. And that's around the time I did the Fellini video. Because once I was actually under contract, I was kind of like, whew, all right, I'm going to finish this fucking Fellini video before I do anything else. So that's why the video was posted. So I'm sorry, that was a bit of a mess. I kind of went all over the place. But that's the story of Fellini and how I started working for Comedie de Caen, which, yeah. I always meant to tell that story when it was happening. I meant to talk about all this shit when it was happening. It was hard though. There was a lot to fucking talk about. And then it just kept happening and happening, and that was my life for the next 3 years. And